Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello, welcome. If you're returning, hi, nice to see you again. So in today's video, I'm going to be speaking all about, this video and the video after this one, so I'm going to do a part 1 and a part 2. I'm going to be speaking about preparing for social work interviews. Okay, so when it comes to preparing or wanting to know how to prepare for your university social work interview, first of all, the fact that they've chosen you means that they've seen something in your application that they liked. They've seen something that may be unique to someone else, but ultimately they like you. So that should give you a starting place to start with a bit of confidence and to walk into the interview knowing that it may be competitive, knowing that they may be interviewing hundreds or whatever other students, but have the confidence to know that they've seen something that they like about your application that's different to the hundreds of applications that they've seen. But when you're going into the interview, I mean, my interview was more of an informal discussion. So they said to me, okay, we're going to ask you a few questions about this, but generally we just want to get a sense of who you are. So in my interview, they would ask me things around, my work history, what voluntary experience had I done, what work experience had I done. Then they would ask me questions around, okay, what is my motivation to study social work? How did the idea of, why did I choose social work out of all of the other courses that I could have chosen? What has driven me? What has motivated me to want to study social work? And then they will go on to ask you questions around, okay, so what do you know about social work? They don't want to know, I just know social workers do blah, 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 blah. Like, what do you really know about social work? Have you been reading, and is there any resources that you've been following up on? Do you know who BASWA is? Do you know any social work law or policy? Do you know about the Children's Act? Do you know all of this stuff? Do you know about CAFCAS? All of this stuff. They want to know, okay, have you actually taken the time out, apart from just writing a personal statement because you thought, okay, social work will be cool. Yeah, they get paid all right. Yeah, it looks interesting. Like, have you actually taken the time out to actually do some reading about what social work is about? Do you follow up in the news or in newsletters to see, okay, what is the latest on social work? What changes are being made? It's more not just about you wanting to be a social worker. At that point, they want to see, okay, this person's not only wanting to be a social worker, but they've taken time out to really find out what's happening in the social work field. Another thing they want to get a sense of in your interview, which is I guess what makes your personal statement unique, is they want to know, okay, what is it about this person that we think can add value to the course? So for example, when I studied, when I'm sure any of you have studied or will study, there are a range of ages on the course. I mean, we probably only had like four males and everyone else was female, 3 males probably, and everyone else was female. But in terms of age range, like, it ranged from probably 21 to about 48 or 47. So you are going to have mature students studying the course with you, because there is no age bias. Anyone can be a social worker, I believe. But what they want to get a sense of, okay, is, on the course there were some people that had been in care, and that's why they wanted to be a social worker. There's some people that was one person I knew that was a foster carer, and she said, like, I feel like I could make a difference. I've got this experience now. I want to study the course and see a bit more get a bit more insight into what social workers do. Others like me, I just come from a huge family, and I can tell you that I'll probably actually share a bit more about, like, my life and, like, my real motivations. Will I share it? Maybe. Like, my real motivations around, like, my childhood and things leading up to me wanting to become a social worker. Because actually, so I don't know if I've shared this before, but I'll share it now. So when I did my undergrad degree, I was on my way to becoming a primary school teacher and getting some experience, here and in South Africa, and seeing the differences in children and just realizing that I hated it. At the time, I was actually in university with my cousin, and she was studying social work, and there was a time that I was proofreading her work, and I was just looking a bit about on her modules, and this was when I was in my 2nd year of my undergrad, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I didn't know there was a course about real life issues. Like I didn't know there was a course like this, and that's where my interest really sparked. So like in my interview, when they will ask me certain questions outside of what I wrote on my personal statement, I will be like, you know, as you can see from my history or my application, I've got a degree in this, I wanted to be a teacher. However, when I was in university, my cousin did this, and I saw the modules, and I spoke a bit about that, just to let them know that I really did have an interest. Like I actually really did. I know like a lot of people go to university to study stuff. They think they have an interest, or they start off with a passion and it kind of dwindles. But like I can honestly say I'm still very passionate about being a social worker. And although it's not it's not all sunshine, you know, like I do still enjoy being a social worker, and my passion for being a social worker is still there. One thing I would say though is, I'm sure others watching this can agree, what my motivation was 5 years ago is different now. And it's different now in the sense that I'm in it and I'm just like, what the heck is going on with social services? Like, what the heck is going on? Like, what is going on? I'm really getting a bit passionate about, or more passionate about like policies and stuff, because this is a long discussion, but ultimately like, I personally feel like the system in a way is just set up to fail children. And I'm just, yeah, like, so my motivation was then in terms of I want to make a big change and I want to work and help children and blah blah blah, but it's still those things. But now it's like, okay, I'm realizing sometimes it's not just being in a role, like that's just one element. Like you really have to progress. And as much as like I don't know if I want to be like go to like service manager or stuff like that, I'm kind of like, you need to kind of have a plan of how you want to journey up to where you can really have your voice heard and make a change and make a difference. But yeah, I've kind of strayed off topic a bit, but I'm just trying to see on my notes if there's any other things that you can do in preparation for your interview. So like this may seem like, okay, we know this, but I've seen someone attend an interview in like joggers before. So you know, just remember when you're going to your interview, your body language is very important. One thing I was practicing, or I don't really do it anymore, but years ago I always used to practice like my facial expressions, because sometimes I'll be told by like previous managers, Seth, like you can have, I don't want to say a resting BF, but like sometimes your face can look a bit like serious if I'm just neutral, and it's like I'm actually fine, but I may be like deep in thought or something. So I just practice like facial expressions, making sure that even if I'm resting, like I do look present. So don't forget your body language, your appearance. Like even if it's I don't think they do virtual interviews anymore because not COVID, but how you dress is important. Wear a shirt, look smart. You may see that it's just in university, like do present yourself well. When you're into the interview as well, try to ask as much questions as you can. Like no question is silly at this point. And it's all these stuff that makes them see, you know, this person actually like generally has an interest because they're asking questions. And even if you don't have a question to ask, what I've done in interviews sometimes is I've said, I don't have a question currently, but would I be able to follow up after the interview? And you know, like, you know, make yourself like assert yourself a bit. Let them know like, okay, I'm gonna follow up. So, you know, a few more questions they may ask you is, you know, if you did A-levels or college, you came from college or you're in employment, they want to know, okay, what did you enjoy about whatever you studied, your workplace? What skills can you bring to the course? What are some of your strengths and your weaknesses? Outside of all of that, I want to know a bit about you. What do you do in your spare time? They may ask you as well, you know, why should they give you a place? I think in my interview they did actually ask me that, like, why should we accept you on the course? And I mean, the fact that I got through means that I think I presented myself well. But yeah, I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. I feel like the university initial interview is quite relaxed because they do know that you don't know it all. You know, there's going to be a range of experiences coming through the door, but ultimately they know that you've not studied it before and you don't know fully what to expect. That's why you've got your 70-day placement, you've got your 100-day placement as like a training ground. And I'm going to tell you guys this now. You see this first, I did a 14 months fast track, but within 2 to 3 months, people were dropping, they were dropping out. Like they were dropping out. I was just like, okay, what is happening? People will leave the course And it's okay. I mean, it's okay if you want to be in debt, but for me personally, I was going to finish regardless. But people will drop out the course. Like, when you get a sense of what you're about to go into, you will drop out. When you do that 70-day placement, okay, you may think, cool, 100-day placement. Like, someone in my course, and if you went to uni with me, you know this person that cried on a home visit in front of a family and just embarrassed her. I shouldn't even say that, because like that's not really like the social worker in me. But the reality is, it's hard work and it's not for everyone. So even if you've got your I don't want to scare you off, but even if you've got your reservations, like, don't tell me people are dropping out. People drop out of a lot of courses. Look at nursing, look at, you know, those kind of, like, people are going to drop out because, you know, only the strong make it to the end. I'm joking, I'm being silly, but yeah, just bear that in mind. Like, even if you've got your reservations, that interview might actually be the decider, not just for them, but that interview can actually be the decider for you. And ask them all these scary questions. There's some crazy girl on YouTube that I heard mention this and this and this. Is this true? Like, because, you know, I'm sure all of my lecturers anyway, apart from the ones that did the research module, the dissertation module, all of the other social workers that were on my lectures and in my seminars, and one was a doctor actually, but the rest of them, they actually were, some of them was still in practice, or they had come out of social work practice. So it's not that you're talking to people that don't know what to expect, or don't know like what's coming. Ask those questions. Like, feel free, use this as your opportunity to make sure that it's what you want to do, you know. But yeah, I've kind of gone on a bit of a tangent, but yeah, that's like my tips and tricks. Like, just be confident, be yourself, be yourself, be yourself. They will just pick up. I think anyone would just pick up if you're trying to, don't try to like over impress them as well, or talk about things that you don't fully know of. Like, don't start mentioning theories and stuff that you've just seen on Google, because then when they come to ask you, okay, what is it, for example, what is the secure based model? I don't know. You know, like, yeah, just let them know. I've done it. You could even, I think in my interview I even said, like, I have done some research and reading on social work, and I heard or I've seen, or I briefly read over this theory, and I know, or this model, blah blah, and just, you know, be honest. Like, just be yourself and you'll be fine. But just relax, breathe. It's an informal discussion. They know that you don't know it all. They just want to pull out and see, has this person got these skills? Have they got the qualities? Ultimately, what can they bring something to the course? Can they, you know, can we really develop this person to become a good social worker? Because there are good and there are bad in professionals in every profession. So it's just about making sure that making sure that you're presenting yourself in also a way that you are showing you don't know it all, you are teachable. One thing I know from like managers that I'm close with, they say they hate when someone comes into a role and it's almost like they can't be taught anything. No matter whether you're a service manager or head of service or whatever, everyone always has something to learn. So just try to present yourself in a way that's still like, okay, I may not know all, but I'm willing to learn. Okay, you mentioned this somewhere along the line. Sorry, what was that about? Because I had, you know, I didn't know about that before. Could you explain that a bit better? Like, you know, practice in the mirror if you need to. As well, if you're finding yourself in a place where you're feeling a bit nervous, call on a friend, call on a family member, ask them, okay, you know, I've got an interview or interviews coming up, because you guys are going to have interviews, not just one. Going to have interviews for several universities, and just ask them to be like, or like do like a role play with you and say, you know, can you go over some of these questions they may ask me. Oh, I also forgot to mention, they're going to ask you, what do you know about the university? Did they ask me that? I think they did. Yeah, they're going to ask you that, as everywhere would. They're going to ask you about what do you know about the university. So make sure that you do a quick search about the university, and just mention 1 or 2 facts is enough. But yeah, be confident, be yourself, and you'll be fine. But thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you in part 2. Bye.